Business laptops are typically boring, but over the last few years, we've seen a change and a head towards a premium design. Today, we're going to take a look at the HP EliteBook 840G5, which is their mid-range entry, and, well, it's a pretty solid 14-inch laptop. Today, I'll tell you what's important and what you need to know. Stay tuned. All right, let's get some context here. The EliteBook 800 series is the mid-range for EliteBooks, and I'm actually a huge fan of the EliteBook series, well, specifically the 1000 line, so that's like the EliteBook 1040, which is a very premium one. Now, this is meant for the average worker, so this is where an IT department will distribute 20 or 30 of these to their workforce. They're meant to be repairable, out on the road, and all that kind of stuff, and that's exactly what the 840 is. It's the 14-inch version, so there are a couple other in the 800 range. It has just been refreshed for 2018. It's meant to kind of compete with the Latitude 7000 series, if you're familiar with that. All right, take a look at the design here. It is very reminiscent of the EliteBook 1000 series. In fact, you're pretty much going to be hard to tell the difference between these. It's a little bit thicker, slightly heavier, but it is all metal. You get the antenna line on top for a very good reception. This has the Intel 8265 chipset in there. You can also get it with a 4G LTE modem, which you can get pre-built in there, or you can add it later on if you want to do that as well. You have a few microphone holes here as well. After all, this is used in the business world, but there is no outward-facing camera, just one for business calls and webcam. Turn to the left-hand side, you have a smart card reader. If you're a consumer, that means nothing to you, but super important for enterprise. Single USB 3.8 Type A port. The large ventilation port here on the side, which is pretty good considering most users are right-handed. If you're going to use a mouse with this is on the left-hand side, so it won't blow on your hand. You also have a Kensington lock. Turn to the right-hand side, this is where all the action is. You do have a standard barrel connector for the charger, which isn't too bad in size. You also have a little LED, but don't worry, you have a USB Type-C port, full Thunderbolt 3, and yes, you can use that for charging, of course, as well. So if you don't want to use that, you always have a backup. It's becoming increasingly more important to enterprise who are relying on Type-C to standardize across the line, so you can always use that here. You also have a connector port for HP's dock, which is a proprietary design, and check this out, look at that, an RJ45, becoming increasingly rare, but super important for enterprise again. Nice little expansion ability there, very cool to have. HDMI 1.4B, another USB 3.0 port, as well as headphone jack, and a SIM slot in case you want to get one with an LTE modem. Opening up the display here, and as you can see, we have rather large bezels at the top and bottom, but that's okay, at least they're evenly sized. HP usually does the bigger on the bottom and smaller on top, but these are nice and parallel. And part of that's because we have Windows Hello facial recognition. You can see you have dual IR cameras up here, which is pretty nice, and a couple microphone holes. And you have the webcam, which is a decent webcam, not the best out there, but you do get this privacy shutter, which is the rage in 2018 for enterprise laptops. Evidently, a lot of people were putting post-it notes over their web camera, so this solves that. It's a really nice one. It's actually a little bit better than Lenovo's, which is funny because I don't know how you can screw this up, but this actually works very well. Now, it doesn't block the microphones, just the camera, so keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to the display, you have a bunch of options depending on your IT department's budget. This is the lowest end. This is the full HD version, so it's 14-inch full HD matte display, non-touch. It only gets 220 nits of brightness. That's very, very low. So you don't really want to use this outside, although that anti-glare will help out. Still, it's a nice display and I don't mind using it. But if you want something brighter, they do make one that goes up to 400 nits of brightness with the same spec, so you could do that. You can also go to 4K, which is a huge jump. There's no in between, unfortunately. You get 4K with touch, or you can also go with their SureView privacy screen. So we've covered that before in another video. You hit F2 and then this will basically mask over. That also gives you a 120 Hz refresh screen, which is really kind of cool. It will zap your battery about 20%, but still, if you're into privacy and security, you'll definitely want to check that out. That's available in 4K or full HD, so the choice is yours. Now, turning to the speakers, check this out. We have Bang & Olufsen. Now, that's not too unusual for HP, but you do get upward firing speakers up here in this grill area, and they sound really nice. Considering this is sort of the budget mid-range, business laptop, this is really good audio. It kind of kills Lenovo, to be honest. And so if you're looking for really good audio quality, HP delivers with this. In fact, it's better audio than their Elite 1000 series of the same one for the 14-inch. So this is continuing their change that they're doing in 2018 with putting the speakers on the top, and I really, really like it. If you've watched this channel before, I gush a lot about HP's keyboard, and that carries over here. This is a really nice keyboard, very good response. Pretty good travel, not as much as some of their other devices, but I have zero complaints about this keyboard. It's backlit, it feels good. As someone who writes a lot, I really like this. Now, it does have their pointer stick here, just like Lenovo's, and it's kind of unusual. I actually kind of like this better than Lenovo's, and I'm not really a huge fan of the pointer sticks, but if you do use that, it comes here and it works really well. You also get an optional fingerprint reader here at the bottom. It works well with Windows Hello, and you can use it with the facial recognition system or independent of. The choice is yours. I have no complaints about it though. Works very well. Turn to the trackpad, and as usual with the EliteBook series, HP is using precision drivers, and this is a very smooth glass trackpad, very nice click, quiet. And you also have the buttons here for the pointer stick. Just an excellent trackpad, no complaints at all. HP continues to knock it out of the park in this area. All right, let's talk a little bit about configuration options besides that display. So this does come with 8 gigs of RAM. You can get it with 16 gigs of RAM. It has 2 DIMM slots. It's DDR4, but you can go to 32 gigs of RAM with that, which is pretty option for you power users out there. When it comes to the processors, you're using 8th generation Intels. Those are Core i5s and Core i7s. We have the 8650U here, which is definitely on the high end. It's a 15-watt chip, but it's going to give you very good performance. There is no discrete graphics, so no NVIDIA on board here. This is a business laptop after all, but the performance was very good, and it's partly backed up by the SSD. So this one comes with 512 gigabytes of storage on there, and this is actually shipping with a PM981 Samsung drive. That gives you 2000 read and write speeds, which, well, that's super blazing fast. And as of course swappable, so you can change that yourself. You can also get 256 gigs or up to 1 terabyte. You can probably squeeze in 2 terabytes as well. Pricing for this device starts around $800. That's for the Core i5 version. The one we have in front of us here is around $1,700. That's 16 gigs, 512 of storage, and that Core i7 and a full HD display. When it comes to heat and battery life overall, this is a pretty solid device. The fan does come on when plugged in and you set to performance mode. Nothing unusual there. This is running the Core i7 after all. If you got the Core i5 though, you can save a little bit there on thermals. Now when it comes to battery life, it's a pretty good performer, around 8 hours. It's nothing crazy. That's because it only has a 50 watt-hour battery. And if you're going to run it at a Core i7, 16 gigs of RAM, well, you can probably tax that pretty heavily. But you can charge this through fast charge, and overall you get about 30 minutes. You'll give you about 50% battery life back. So it's not too bad, but it's not the best on the market for this series. Now when it comes to pricing, you're talking around starts at $800 for that Core i5 with a 256 gigs of storage. The one we have in front of us is about $1,700. That's 512, 16 gigs of RAM and a Core i7, but it's only the full HD display. I would actually try to go for something a little bit higher end on this, but overall the pricing is pretty fair, especially it is all metal. I should also point out that HP has made this device very serviceable, which is very important for IT departments. So there's a couple of screws on the bottom. They pop right off and are magnetic. You can then swap out RAM, SSD, the Wi-Fi card, and even add an LTE modem. Apparently the antenna is already built in for this device and all set up. So that's really important for a lot of IT groups. I'm glad to see it here. It's a pretty good device to work on. All right, let's bring it all in. So I really like this device, and we always get into this, right? There's the super premium stuff out there, like this 1000 series, which is really, really nice. It has a 45 watt processor in it. But this is for your average worker in the field, and to be honest, I could totally use this laptop and be happy with it. It's got a great keyboard, the audio is good, the display is really nice on it, the trackpad is good, it has a really nice port selection. It doesn't have an SD card slot, which may be important to some, but you do have some expansion ports there to manage it, so there are workarounds, but I wouldn't mind seeing an SD card slot as well. It's also a pretty light laptop at 3.27 pounds or 1.5 kilograms, so it's easy to carry around. I love the build quality of it, and it looks really sharp. So if you're in business or schools and enterprise and you're looking for a device, even if you're a consumer, don't forget, HP does an outstanding job, in my opinion, when it comes to security. You go and get that BIOS protection on there. It comes with a suite of HP apps on here for keeping it upgraded and keeping everything secure. There's a lot of choices here for IT. So I think HP is doing a really nice job. The EliteBook series is definitely on their premium end, but yeah, even as a consumer, you may want to check this out if you're into school and just need a really rugged device to take around with you. Overall, pretty solid device. So there's a quick look at the HP EliteBook 840G5. Now, if you're interested in this device, we'll have a link in the description below. Let me know in comments too what you think about it. Otherwise, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Take care, everybody.